Hello guys, this is SC Slayers and I'm here to tell you some tips and tricks for the Trials of Osiris. This very first video clip that I'm showing you is one in which my team managed to kill 2 of the enemy players right in the very beginning of the game. If you can pull this off on round 1 or 2, you can essentially win the game on that very first round. What you do is you sit around and defend the orbs from the enemy without actually killing the enemy. Killing the enemy here is not to your advantage, chasing him down is not to your advantage. You just want to sit back and let your super charge. You're getting 3 supers charged while they're getting 1 supercharged, and you're going to win the round as long as you don't let the enemy get to you. You don't want to kill him. A lot of people seem to think that if you're defending the orb, you're still actually trying to go after the third guy, but you're necessarily tied to that post. That's not actually true. You're getting a lot more advantage by not ending the round any sooner than you can. Notice how at the beginning of this round, I've got 70% of my supercharged. I didn't even have full intellect gear on. That's a great way to get an advantage. If you can pull off 2 kills, that's what you need to do. It's worth noting that in this situation, you really need your entire team to be on board, because if you have one of your teammates running after the third guy, what may happen is they might die, and if they die, suddenly, at best, you're still only charging 2 supers to their 1, or at worst, the third person manages to turn the game around and actually kill the 2 of you, ending the round in their favor instead of yours, when you could have very easily won if your entire team had been on board. Surprisingly, this strategy isn't used very often in Trials. I've literally not seen a team use it intentionally one time. I don't know why that isn't more prevalent, because honestly it's extremely powerful. If you manage to get all 3 of your supers charged on round 2, you can use a super on round 2 and 3 and 4 and pretty much guarantee you have a much better chance of winning those rounds because the other team hasn't had nearly the same opportunity to charge their supers. Of course, you're still going to have to outplay them at the end of the day, but you can really shore up a huge advantage for yourself by actually stopping to let your super charge.
There's a guy coming up.
This clip is a demonstration of the importance of reviving your teammates and having a high-impact, high-range shotgun. The stronger your shotgun is per shot, the better, because the more often than not what you're going to use it for in Trials of Osiris is people who have self-revived or people who have revived their teammates. And it is a lot harder to actually meaningfully finish off a team with a sniper rifle than it is with a shotgun. Think about the situations here. I'm going to pause the video so you can think about the situations here. I don't need to convince you that shotguns are strong in Destiny. Everyone knows shotguns are strong in Destiny, but the way that they work in Trials of Osiris is actually really important, because when you're trying to chase down the final guy on the enemy team to finish them off and they're running to their teammate as fast as they can to pull off a revive to turn the round around, it's not going to happen if you can catch up to them and shotgun their teammate in 1 hit. You can't stop and snipe someone if you're chasing them down. It won't work. You can't stop and charge a fusion rifle if someone's coming back from the grave. You don't necessarily have the time for that. A shotgun is the only gun that really fills out all the requirements necessary of the fast-paced gameplay of Trials of Osiris to actually work to your advantage in those kinds of situations. You really need to use a shotgun for that. There's just no other way around it. I'm sorry, snipers, you're not going to finish off a team by shooting them across the map. When you kill them, they're just going to get revived. The thing is, it's really difficult to rush a shotgun unless you're using one. I'm actually going to show these clips again so you can watch the 4 kills and decide how you would have handled the situation if you were using a sniper rifle or a fusion rifle that wouldn't ultimately lead to the other team reviving their teammates or their self-revives being more powerful than whatever else you had available.
I'm up here.
Maybe you're a pro that could handle them with a sniper rifle, maybe you're a pro that could handle them with the last word. I used a shotgun, it's going to be the easiest option.
I got blood on. Yep, I got you.
Enemy team eliminated.
So now you're probably wondering why I'm using Thorn as my primary. Well, watch this. Here I managed to get 1 shot on a guy and I missed 2 other shots, but look, he's sitting still. I know that, so I can pop out, 1-shot him, and then I'm just feeling great about myself because I just used X-ray vision to kill a guy. Thorn is the only gun that lets you do that. Thorn is the best gun because it keeps enemies weak, it lets you see through walls, and it actually is a 2-shot kill. It's kind of ridiculous how powerful it is, to be honest. Until Bungie nerfs it, that's the primary you should use in the Trials of Osiris. There are other guns that are better in other situations, but for Trials of Osiris, that's going to be best. This next section is going to be a gameplay where I freeze frame key moments and explain what I was thinking during them. When I get to the top of the stairs in this run, there is an enemy in the hall to my left, and I can tell that because of my radar, and if he's that close in the beginning, that means he's playing really aggressively and he might be rushing with a shotgun. So I throw a grenade just on the off chance he is going to try and get me with a shotgun in the very beginning, and it's multi-purposeful, because if he rushed with a primary, he'd also be weak. This basically forces him to back off, which is a really good idea, because if they did run in with a shotgun, that could very easily end the round for us, since there are 2 of us there without shotguns. What he did instead was throw a grenade, and I stop and I actually take care of the grenade because it lowers the space that I'm in a lot, and it also is a threat to my teammate who might actually happen to back into it. You don't really want to make that an option. When I come around this corner, he's already moved to the side and he's already trying to get first shot on me, and he's succeeded. So I don't actually stick around for the gunfight, I just try and get one shot in him and then back off. And at this point, he's finally been dealt with because he's one shot, my teammate goes in and gets him. I see that the assist has shown up on my screen, the guy is dead. That means that I don't have anyone focusing on me anymore, and I can run forwards to back my teammate up. That turned out to be a good idea because this guy at the back of the room is already aiming at my teammate, and I can kill him while he's tunnel visioned on him. This final guy was already weak from something that one of my teammates had done, and so we win that round without really a whole lot of struggle because the guys separated a bit too much and they played a little too aggressively. In the second round of a Trials of Osiris game, you can reasonably expect to run into a different strategy than you did on the first round, especially if you won the first round. In this case, when I came around the corner, I saw that they were in that window over there, preparing to aim down on me with Thorn or a sniper rifle, and if they're doing that, they've got first shot. I need to back off because they have a much better chance of winning than I do. I stupidly ran forwards and decided to throw a grenade, and my teammate died. I could have died just as easily, it was just lucky that I was the one that stayed alive. But because one of us did die, I have to come back and try to secure his X. Holding down his X is a matter of getting around the corner and making sure that they don't have a reasonable line of sight on it, so I come around ADSing with Thorn immediately, prepared to fire as much as possible to get them off the X, and then get out of there immediately, because they already won a fight there once, they could easily do it again. Once we get around this corner here, I see that there's someone far away on my radar. Generally, if they aren't all just bunched up in that little hall right there, and you see one at the edge, that means they might be trying to flank you, so I try to run down the stairs to head them off immediately, but it turns out they weren't rushing in the first place. Thankfully, it did get me out of the way of an amazing sniper. Nice job, other team. But I decided to play it pro with my shotgun and just jump into this corner here, and it wound up winning me the round. They really shouldn't have rushed like that. They've got 2 snipers on their team. That's not the winning situation for them. I don't know what the better move would have been. They couldn't have really run around because I would have just gotten the 2 revives. But in any case, they didn't have any business running in like that when I had a shotgun.
It's a good thing that the Zero Scout was last.
On the third round of a Trials game, you can generally expect to see a strategy reused from either round 1 or round 2. When I came around this corner, I saw that he was preparing to snipe me from that window again, and for some reason I stupidly decided to go for first shot. I already knew that he was going to beat me there. I really shouldn't have done that, and it's really not a good idea to fail to the same thing twice. Don't make mistakes like I just did. But what I decided to do to recover from it is to let my shield recover all the way and get a new angle on the enemies. Since my teammates are both fighting from the window that is on my left right now, I decided to go past it and swing wide so that I can throw a grenade in and hit the enemies while they're hopefully weak from my teammates. He calls out that there are 3 of them in there, and it looks like he was completely right, because my grenade hit all 3 of them. And a Firebolt, Viking Funeral, Touch of Flame grenade is a death sentence if it hits all 3 enemies on the other team. They're in really bad shape and they're going to be for a while, so I immediately want to kill the grenade and revive my teammate and rush as fast as possible to capitalize on the fact that they're all super weak right now. As soon as I get this grenade, I actually see that I've killed 2 of them with it too. So having 2 of them dead means that if I can just get that last guy, I win the round. So I revive my teammate, and after I've secured that lifeline, I rush him with a shotgun and try to get the guy before he can revive his teammates. Actually committing to that shot ruined me in this case because I was aiming at a target that was going to move when I didn't need to, and it ultimately got me killed. If I had just aimed at the guy who was reviving, I would have been in much better shape. Generally, you do want to aim at the person they're reviving rather than the reviver. And now that I'm dead, I need to decide if I want to try to spring back to life in front of them, where I might get shotgunned to death immediately, or do I want to wait and see if I can get a better advantage out of that. But in this case, I knew that they had sniper rifles and there wasn't a whole lot of opportunity for them to have counterplay here, so I just decided to revive immediately, and then I punched the guy, and it turns out the round is already over because my teammates had revived each other, and we were in pretty good shape.
Enemy team eliminated.
Round 3 of Trials of Osiris is heavy round, which means that you either need to defend your heavy or rush their heavy, and we decided to split that up a little bit, have 2 people rush, 1 person stay for a lifeline. As I'm rushing behind my teammate, I see that there's an enemy that's prepared to go to our side. I warned my teammate that he might be expecting a rush, but then I see that the person hasn't moved when I gotten this far. It looks like they've just made a really non-committal approach to heavy ammo, and they haven't decided how they want to deal with us yet. So then my teammate activates his arc blade, and I pretty much mindlessly throw a grenade because it looks like they weren't prepared to do anything about this. Apparently they didn't have a super up to handle it, and it was just a bad situation for them. It just turned into a massacre. Arc blade is very good to rush with. At the very worst, we would have distracted him for a while, so our teammate with heavy could have picked it up and gotten a revive on us. I'm not going to do any freeze frames on this last round because I don't really know if any of these moments are particularly worth it, but the main driving things to point out here are that I always focus on my radar. I saw a guy in distance but knew that one was close as well. I shoot him and immediately duck behind the wall because I don't want his teammate coming around the corner and shooting me when I do that. And then I rush him and slide and shotgun because shotguns are the most open thing in the universe. Round pretty much over. You really can't be aggressive unless you have a shotgun. I'm gonna go ahead and pause this now so I can talk about a couple strategies that I hadn't actually had a chance to talk about in this video. I don't have other gameplay to upload right now, unfortunately, because my internet gave out shortly after I finished all these rounds, so I just had to go with what I had. One strategy that a lot of people will see is snipers who head glitch near A. A is the area towards the outside of the map where if you were looking towards the sun, it's on your right. People will head glitch there where they stand and fire bullets out of the top of their noggins rather than outside of their gun. Not really sure why it makes sense to do that, but apparently it does. At any rate, the only reason that that strategy works is because for some reason people have decided it's a good idea to rush them. When people stand out in the sun like that, don't rush them. It's a horrible idea. It's like fighting a sniper who's hiding in the bushes at 100 meters because it's pretty much the same thing. When that happens, what you should do is secure a really good position around the objective spawn, which is in the middle of the map near that column thing, on the back side of it, closer to inside. As long as you're holding that down, there's really nothing they can do with their sniper post outside. Like, it's great that they've got that, but there's nothing they can do to prevent you from holding down inside, which is the more important location. It'll make for a long game, but that returns to the point I was saying about having high intellect gear. If you've got good intellect gear on, you're going to be getting more benefit out of the longer drawn-out matches than they are, and you will win the round as long as you make sure you hold down the inside well. Obviously, snipers are something that is difficult to deal with, but the point here is just don't poke out. There's no point in poking out unless you're trying to snipe them too, and if you're trying to snipe them when they're standing against a glaring sun with only the tip of their head pointing out, you're really playing bad. You really shouldn't do that. Don't fight people who are using that strategy. It's a good strategy, but only so long as people rush you. It's like rushing someone who's in their defender bubble with Armor of Light and Helm of St. 14. Just don't do it. That's the easiest way to beat it. You can fight them on your home turf rather than their home turf. Let me think if I can come up with any other strategies that might arise in this sort of thing. A simple point that could be made is that when you're fighting in the very beginning on that stairwell near C, where they come around the left side on heavy side at the back of the wall and you're going up the stairs, the side of the stairwell is the one that's at the advantage because it's harder to nade downstairs than it is to nade against a wall. And in addition to that, generally the people who are on the stairs are there first, so you don't want to really fight coming around that corner if you spawn on the high side of the map, because you'll tend to lose that fight. If you're fighting across that hallway, you need to be wary of someone trying to flank you, because it doesn't take very long at all for someone to come around either way, and if they do that while you're weak at all, you're going to wind up losing the fight the majority of the time. That's another one of those situations where a shotgun is really good. It's also really hard to snipe down that hallway without getting flanked by someone from any direction. They can even flood in the front by just jumping up. It's really not a good place to fight. You really want to be there momentarily at most. And I really suppose that's it. If someone has thought of a strategy that I didn't mention, I'd be glad to tell you my thoughts on it in an annotation on the video and include them. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure that sums up my thoughts on the Burning Shrine Trials of Osiris. I'm sure I missed something very important. Feel free to let me know. Thank you for watching and spending your time listening to my crazy thoughts on what's important to do in the Crucible. Hopefully this has taught you something, and if it has, let me know in the comments. Thank you, everyone.